Okay, guys, welcome back to the podcast. Last month rather, we talked about the NBA, the NFL, the MLB, and the NHL. The NHL recently wrapped up with the Washington Capitals breaking the curse, and now we're going to shift into gears, first jumping into NBA free agency. And this was a stacked free agent class, let's not lie. We have Paul George, LeBron James, Carmelo Anthony, and Kawhi Leonard wanting out of San Antonio. So let's dive right in with first the signing of Paul George. Now, as a Thunder fan, I was thrilled. I was ecstatic when Paul George decided he was going to sign a 4-year, $137 million max contract with the Oklahoma City Thunder. And for people who are saying that it doesn't matter, that's not a big deal, it is a big deal. Paul George staying or leaving was the difference between the Thunder slipping off into a mediocre franchise with a borderline playoff team, maybe 6 through 8 seed. But with Paul George staying, it makes them right back into the Western Conference contention. Now, will they win it? Probably not. You still have the Golden States of the world, the Houstons of the world, and, of course, LeBron's big decision, which we will get to later. But it puts the Thunder in a much better position it puts the Thunder in a better position if he would have left. I mean, that's obvious. Now, of course, with Carmelo saying that he's going to opt out into his contract, the Thunder are looking to trade him. And there are tons of suitors for Carmelo Anthony. A lot of people who need a small forward wing who can score. For example, the Houston Rockets. The Houston Rockets lost Luke and Bon Moody and Trevor Ariza to free agency. And that is a huge loss, whether you put it or not. Ariza may have not been the most flashy of a player, but he held down the defense and was put on the best player. When they played Cleveland, he was on LeBron James. When they played Golden State, he was on Kevin Durant. That's a huge loss. And that opens the window for the Thunder to maybe take the Rockets' spot. A lot of Rockets fans will disagree with me, but the Thunder and the Rockets are pretty similar right now. And if Carmelo Anthony goes there, that's not going to make that team much better. I'm just going to say it right now. Melo to the Rockets is not going to make the Rockets a better team. The Rockets are a worse team now than they were last year. No matter what happens, they are a worse team, and I'll get to that later. Paul George stayed. Great news for Thunder fans. Next, Lakers fans. You should be happy. You got the best player of our generation in LeBron James. He came to Lakers based off based off of not just a basketball decision, but his lifestyle decision. He could literally become a billionaire in Los Angeles. That market is meant for him. That market is going to worship LeBron. And plus, they got some good people around him. Rajon Rondo, very underrated player. In the playoffs, he'll step it up like no one. He got 21 assists in that game against Golden State in Game 2, I believe. Game 3. And that was huge. He's a playoff guy and will step up for LeBron. Now, in between Lonzo and Rondo, who's going to start, we'll get into that probably next month. But that is a very interesting point guard battle that we'll have to watch. LeBron to the Lakers does not make them contenders, in my opinion. It does not make them contenders. Not yet. Not yet. I mean, yes, they will contend. They have LeBron. When you have LeBron, you will always have a shot. Always have a shot. I think their ceiling is Western Conference Finals, and their floor is a bottom 4 seed in the playoffs. Because I don't think there's any way that they miss the playoffs barring some injury. I think with LeBron, you will make the playoffs, even in the West. Worst case scenario, there was 6, 7 seed. There's no way they go to 8 seed, in my opinion. Maybe a 6, 7 seed. And if that's your worst case scenario, that's a pretty good team right there. But that's only because of LeBron, obviously. Ceiling, like I said, maybe a top 3 team. They go to the Western Conference Finals, lose to the Rockets, the Thunder, the Warriors, maybe. In those finals. Next, DeMarcus Cousins, the story that shook up the NBA. A $5.3 million mid-level exception to the Golden State Warriors. And when I read that, I actually was heartbroken. My heart sank. All that excitement from free agency from the next season went out the window. Because DeMarcus Cousins ruined this free agency for me. But then, I sat back. I thought about it a little bit. And I realized, wait, there's only been one player ever, to come back from an Achilles injury at full strength. And his name was Kobe Bryant. And there is no one like Kobe Bryant. And when you're a 7'1" big man like DeMarcus Cousins, that's even harder for you to come back from. There's no way Cousins is 100% in my opinion. That Achilles injury is too strong. And even if he does, he's not going to come back until maybe February at the All-Star break. And during that time, he'll have to mesh into the offense. And after this year, he's probably gone. Now, yes, the Warriors are still by far title contenders, and even if Cousins is 3/4 healthy, that's a better center than the Warriors will ever have. And a better center on the best team in basketball, that's a scary combination. The Warriors should be overwhelming favorites to come in this season because they are the overwhelming favorites. They have 5 All-Stars on one team. There's only 4 of the teams that have 2 All-Stars. Let that sink in. 5 All-Stars versus 2 All-Stars. And that's not to say that Warriors aren't going to be beaten. They're not going 82-0. They're probably not even going to win 70 games. But a 65-win season, plus maybe only 3 losses in the playoffs, that's a possibility. Now, with all these changes that could be shaken up, injuries, of course, are a real thing. But it's going to make the season a lot more interesting. That wraps up the free agency period. Now let's go to trade talks. Carmelo Anthony. As I touched on before, he has suitors, of course, to the Rockets. But let's just talk about this tax bill for a second. The Thunder, when they trade or buy out Carmelo, even a buyout, which means you stretch their salary out, that would save them a minimum of $117 million. That's insane. The Thunder currently have the highest payroll in NBA history by a lot, at $302 million. $302 million. And if you just simply waive or trade Carmelo Anthony, you are saving $120 million minimum. That's not only a great decision for Carmelo, but that's a great decision for the Thunder. Carmelo obviously didn't work in the Thunder system. And with him gone, the Thunder are a better team. It's an addition by subtraction sort of deal. You lose a ball hog, a cancer, a washed up star, and in turn, I believe the Thunder get you 50 wins this year, minimum, and a 3 seed in the West. Now, I'm not a biased Thunder fan. I just think that's how it's going to go. Paul George and Westbrook, when they were on the floor, they had the second best efficiency rating in the NBA. When it was just George and Russ. And when they're together, it's a KD and Russ all over again. And that team went to 4 out of 6 Western Conference Finals. I'm not going to say they're going to make it, but they'll definitely win a series, maybe 2. And let's go to the Houston Rockets. Like I said, I'm going to touch on this really quickly because we already touched on it before. They lost 2 small forwards, 2 versatile defenders. They're not a contender anymore. They're not a contender. I take that back. They're not title contenders. They're not going to do what they had before. And personally, James Harden has shown that this system does not work in the playoffs. It's a gimmick. That's all I have to say. It's a gimmick. It'll work in the regular season. But in the playoffs, teams will show you that it is not sustainable. Who they beat? The 8 seed Timberwolves in 5 games? Okay. You beat a Timberwolves team who has not been to the playoffs in 18 years. And with a whole squad whose best 3 players haven't been to the playoffs. Wiggins and Towns never been to the playoffs before that. Butler, he has been to the playoffs. You beat a Jazz team led by a rookie in Donovan Mitchell. Not that impressive. Now the Thunder lost to that Jazz team, yes. But remember, they were out their best defender, one of the best defenders in the league, Andre Robertson. And that's going to be huge next year. He's going to come back, and that's going to be a great addition for the Thunder. Especially if he's 100%, which he says he is. So yeah, you beat a Jazz team and a Timberwolves team in 5 games. Whoop. What's the big deal? You were expected to do that. And then you run into a Warriors team. You run into a Warriors team who's got you in 7 games. Sure, blame the hamstring. Blame the hamstring if you want to. But Chris Paul, sure, let him do a 3-2 lead. But Harden, in the 2 games that they were without, they didn't win, and they were up by double digits at one point. Don't tell me they couldn't have won that without Chris Paul. They could have. Harden just simply choked it away. like he does every year in the playoffs. Get mad at me, Rockets fans, but it's just true. He chokes in the playoffs. Their team missed 27 straight threes. That's not bad luck. That's just a terrible performance. Rockets without Ariza, without Mbah Moody, and with Melo coming to your team, who will make your team worse. Like I said, he's a cancer, a ball dominant small forward who can't score anymore. When you are a scorer, and the bucket's looking as small as ever, you are a scorer, and the ball's not going through the hoop, you are nothing else. If you're just a scorer. And that's what Melo is. And I'll argue that's what Harden is. Harden, people call Westbrook a ball hog. You should watch Harden play. Harden is dribble, 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 dribble. Dribble, dribble, dribble. Dribble, 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 dribble. Passes when he gets to the rim to get his assist. I mean, sure, Westbrook is called a ball hog, but at least he passes. He passes when necessary. Harden, he's top of the key, 1-on-5. The 4 teammates are standing around. Same thing with Chris Paul. Chris Paul is one of the best passers in the game, but he's not. Chris Paul is one of the best passers in league history, but he stands on top, dribble, 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 dribble. I'm sorry, Rockets fans, but you guys aren't going to have the same season. Especially if Melo gets there. Especially if Melo goes there. I'll say it again. Especially if Melo goes there, which he's going to go there. Apparently by reports, by Woj and Stein, he's leaning towards Houston. Good luck. Next, we already talked about Lakers and LeBron, how they are not quite championship contenders, but they'll get there. Again, Lonzo Ball playing with LeBron, I think is going to be a great combination. That's going to be one of the best passers in the league already as a rookie, and one of the best players of all time. The best player of this generation, hands down. Them playing together is going to be really good, but not contenders this year. Next year, let's say they sign Cousins, let's say they sign someone else, they make more acquisitions, yeah, talk to me then. But this year, they'll be a playoff team, probably a top 4 playoff team, but they're not going to the finals. I don't think so, not this year. Again, but that's not to say they can't. LeBron carried a weak Cavaliers team all the way to the finals. In the East. In the East, mind you. In the East. But in the West, it's a different story. Next, let's go back, and that actually segues great into the next point. The East gets poorer, the West gets richer. LeBron left Cleveland. That's the storyline of free agency. LeBron leaves Cleveland. The witness poster got torn down. The Eastern Conference team that made the finals the past 4 years has the best player is Kevin Love. That opens the door for other East teams. The Celtics, they're going to be really good. Kyrie, Tatum, Brown, Hayward, all coming back. And yeah, there are rumors Kyrie's leaving with Jimmy Butler to go to an Eastern Conference team. But that's next year. 2 years from now. But for this coming year, Kyrie, Hayward, Tatum, Brown. That's a championship contender if I've ever heard one. Without their 2 best players, they pushed LeBron James to 7 games. Without Kyrie and without Gordon Hayward, they pushed them to 7 games. And they beat a Sixers team who many thought would go to the finals 4-1. A tremendous team. And they're only going to get better. The Sixers as well. Sixers is going to be a great team as well. Simmons, if he can get a jump shot, he's going to be one of the best players in the league. Simmons with a jump shot is the best player in the league in 5 years. No question about it. Embiid, superstar. 2 superstars, you're automatic contender. And that's sadly about it for the East. Maybe Toronto, but hey, it's Toronto. You know what happens with Toronto in the playoffs. Sadly, maybe 3 teams. Maybe 3 are real contenders. Yeah, the Pacers. But Oladipo, I don't know how far he can carry you. Tyreek Evans is a great signing, don't get me wrong. He scored 17 a game last year on a Memphis team. That team's going to be good. Pacers are going to be good. But finals contenders? Come on. Come on. And that's about it for the East. The Wizards? No. I don't think so. The Knicks? Kristaps? I don't see that happening. LeBron? A LeBron-less Cleveland team? That's not going to happen. Kevin Love is your best player. They may get the 8 seed, the 7 seed. But finals contenders? In your dreams. I don't think I'm forgetting anyone. That's the East in a nutshell. Maybe 3 teams. Maybe 4 if you count Indiana. Then you go to the West. Golden State, 5 All-Stars. Houston pushed the Warriors to 7 games. Oklahoma City, lose Carmelo, keep Paul George. LeBron, Los Angeles. That conference is stacked. No doubt about it, that conference is stacked. With all-stars on that team, with all-stars all in the West, actually, I read an interesting fact the other day. There's only one remaining member in the Eastern Conference who has finished in the top 5 MVP voting. Blake Griffin. Everyone else, Russell, Durant, LeBron, Curry, all in the West. All of them in the West. And you also have a Jazz team with a second-year Donovan Mitchell, who will explode, I guarantee it. And a defending defensive player in the year, in Rudy Gobert. The East maybe have Greek Freak, Kyrie, DeRozan, Oladipo, Embiid. Sure. Damian Lillard, he may have choked in the playoffs, but he's still there. New Orleans, without DeMarcus Cousins, they were a beast. Without Boogie, with Davis leading the show, they were really good. Denver, they're going to make a splash. San Antonio's always going to make the playoffs. The West gets richer, the East gets poorer. That about wraps it up for the NBA. That would be most of our segment today. A lot of stuff going on, but let's go into the NFL. Let's start with the top story of the day. Le'Veon Bell is no longer going to be a Steeler after this year. And for someone who has always come off as an obnoxious, narcissistic diva, this shouldn't come as a surprise. He wanted money. Pittsburgh wouldn't pay him with that ego. I don't blame him. He's probably the most versatile back in the game. But with that ego, without locker room presence, I wouldn't keep him. And this is the Steelers' probably last year to contend with this core anyway. Big Ben's what, 36? Antonio Brown wants a lot of money. He got it. But put it with an old quarterback, a wide receiver, that doesn't usually work out. Especially with Ben retiring. Le'Veon Bell gone. The Steelers are going to be a crap show. No doubt about it. And with this last year of them being true contenders, they're going to have to go through the Patriots, a Rams team who added 5 corners, one of the best offenses of the league in the Rams. They're a great team. They're going to have to go through an up-and-coming Browns team, who I don't think will do that well, but they're going to win more than 0 games, trust me that. They probably could win 7-8 games. And they're in the division. Baltimore, hungry for blood. Broncos, Case Keenum is there. The Raiders are finally healthy. The Texans with Deshaun Watson are back. This Steelers team, it looks bleak, Steelers fans, for the future. It looks really bleak. I'll give you that. It looks really bleak. And with him not signing an extension and him going to another team, that's the difference between contenders and mediocrity. Bye-bye, Pittsburgh. Bye-bye. Next, let's try to dive into the fact that this NFL season has been one of the most hyped ever. So I took it upon myself to let's select every division winner. Let's just quickly go through every division and see who will win it all in that division. Not win it all, but who will win that division. Starting off with the AFC East. For all you non-football fans, this consists of the Patriots, the Bills, the Dolphins, and the Jets. No question here, this is going to the Patriots. Tom Brady may be 41, but he'll always find a way to make 5'10" Walmart employees into NFL superstars. Edelman's back. Defense to stay the same. They're going to win at least 12 games. AFC North. Last year of Pittsburgh's contention, they're going to win it. Browns, Bengals, Ravens, Steelers, all improved teams except for Cincinnati. But Pittsburgh will coast on high-end talent. and they'll win the division probably with 10, 11, 12 games. AFC South, Jacksonville, no doubt. Sure, Deshaun Watson's back. He's going to be a stud. They'll win 11, 10 games. Indianapolis, Andrew Luck's back. Tennessee Titans, they made the playoffs and made it to the divisional round. But the Jaguars, one of the best defenses in football, an improved offense, Leonard Fournette going into his second year. That team's winning 13 games. Mark it, 13 games. The Colts, maybe they'll make the playoffs. Texans, maybe they'll make the playoffs. Titans, maybe they'll make the playoffs. The AFC South just turned in from one of the most non-competitive divisions ever to one of the most interesting divisions to walk this year. You got 4 teams who can make the playoffs. The Colts with Andrew Luck, they're automatic contenders. The Texans with Deshaun Watson, we'll have to see if he's anywhere close to what he was, but if he's anywhere close, they're going to be contenders. The Titans, Mariota, more mature. That's a really interesting team. DeMarco Murray, yeah, he retired, but they have Derrick Henry. Finally, in the AFC, we have the AFC West. This is an interesting group. You got the Chiefs, the Chargers, the Raiders, and the Broncos. The Raiders are going to be good. 8 to 10 wins, I say. But not going to win the division. The Broncos, Case Keenum, solid quarterback, very underrated still, which is insane. They're going to be really good. The Chargers, Phillip Rivers, they'll always give you a fight. And a much improved roster. They're going to be pretty good too. But the Chiefs, I say, this is kind of my wild card, and probably my bold prediction. The Chiefs win that division. A lot of talent, but the Chiefs win it. Mahomes, yeah, he's going to be good. Trust me. Great offense, great defense. I don't see anything more to ask. Chiefs win that division, but it's going to be close. Moving on to the NFC East, the Eagles are one of the most talented teams in football. They're going to win that division hands down. The Giants, they'll be good. They're going to get at least probably a 7-win season. They even may scratch the playoffs, but they're not close to Philadelphia's level. Washington, Alex Smith, yeah, maybe. Get you 8, 9 wins at best. Dallas, come on, guys. Even Dallas fans know that their reign is almost up with the Dak Prescott era, and that didn't last long. NFC North, home of my favorite team, the Vikings. Again, not biased. The Vikings will win this division. Detroit, Chicago, they made improvements, but they're still at least a year away. And even Bears and Detroit fans will admit that. Green Bay and Minnesota are going to be the only 2 teams in contention again. That's happened pretty much these past 5 years. Minnesota, Green Bay. Aside from 2013, when Rodgers had the collarbone, the Vikings had a bad year. Besides that, these past 5 years, this has been Vikings and Packers. Aaron Rodgers will always get you 11 wins. He seems to never fail to get you at least 11 wins. But Vikings, I see them winning 13. Again. They're getting no love because apparently we were lucky with health. Apparently we had a favorable schedule. We got Kirk Cousins. They have Kirk Cousins. A running back that's coming back, who led the league in rushing before he got injured, Dalvin Cook. 2 incredible wide receivers, a tight end named Kyle Rudolph, who's so good. An incredible starting line who we improved and are back healthy. And the best defense in the NFL. This team is going far. Don't deny it. The NFC South. This is another interesting division, but the Saints will take this one. Really not much to talk about here. The Bucks. Winston's getting charged again. He's kind of a bad dude at this point. Atlanta. I mean, yeah, they'll win 10 games, but in this stacked of an NFC, I don't know if that's going to be enough. Carolina and New Orleans, really the only 2 competitors, but I think New Orleans wins that hands down. More talented. Sure, Drew Brees is 39, but he'll still deliver. Not much to talk about it. In the NFC West, Rams, Cardinals, Seahawks, 49ers. Rams win this easy. No debate. And I think even any fans will admit that. The Niners are going to be good. They're going to make the playoffs. Trust me. Jimmy G is a stud. That defense improved. Niners are going to be good. But the Rams are going to be a lot better. Rams are one of the most talented teams, if not the most talented team in the NFL. The Cardinals, old, aging. Who's the quarterback again? Rosen? Bradford? Maybe next year, boys. Seahawks, they're going to take such a fall, and it's not even going to be funny. From Legion of Boom to Legion of Doom, that team's done. Russell Wilson can only carry you so far. So to cap off, NFC West, we got the Rams. NFC South, we have the Saints. North, the Vikings. East, East, the Eagles. West, the Chiefs. South, Jaguars. North, the Steelers. East, the Patriots. If you notice something, for you football fans, those are the exact same division winners of last year. The exact same. Last year, the Patriots won the division, Steelers won the division, Jaguars won the division, Chiefs won the division, Eagles won the division, Vikings won the division, Saints won the division, Rams won the division. And it's going to continue because those teams got better. And all other teams made moves, but not good enough to catch up to those guys. As far as the playoffs, I mean, those 8, obviously. And for wildcard teams, it's so up in the air right now. It's really hard to say right now. Next month, when preseason actually starts, we'll get into that a little bit more. But those are my division picks right now. Last but not least, let's move on to the MLB. All-Star breaks here. Machado is probably going to Philadelphia. Or Los Angeles, really. That's really kind of obvious. Machado is wanted out of Baltimore for so long, and he's finally getting his wish. And I'm happy for him. He's such a great player, and to be stuck in that toxic organization is just all the more for him. Home run derby, Harper won it in front of his home crowd. I mean, that's pretty incredible if you ask me. And as for who wins it all, Astros, Red Sox, Yankees. I mean, all those AL powerhouses, of course, they're going to be in talks. Indians, maybe, but I mean, the Twins are still lurking in there. They're only 7.5 games back. I mean, they had a great homestand. They're going to give the Indians a bit of a fight, but I still think the Indians win that division, unfortunately. And the Mariners are a great team. They're exceeding the expectations, even with Robinson Cano out. The Phillies, another good team. Cubs, good team. Dodgers, good team. But if you look at the National League, that league is much worse than the American League. Now, yes, the American League is top heavy. It's pretty much those 3 teams and no one else. But those 3 teams, one of them is going to make the World Series. One of them is going to make the World Series. And the team that makes it out of the National League, they're not going to be one of those 3 teams. Sure, the National League may be the most balanced league, but the American League is the most talented. Alright, that pretty much wraps up the podcast for today, guys. Thank you so much for listening. It was great talking about sports. I hope to continue talking about this for about every month. I want to say every week, maybe even every other day, but it's kind of hard to do that, especially because sports can get stale if you do it every week, and there's not a whole lot going on right now. It's kind of an dull season for sports right now. I mean, it's the All-Star break, not a lot happens there. Free agency's all but wrapped up. NFL just starting training camp. OTAs are done. Training camp's just kind of starting. And hockey's over. So, not a lot of sports to talk about, but I'm sure next month when preseason starts, NBA starts to get more headway, MLB's in full swing, that's when we have more to talk about. But thanks for listening, guys. Hope you all have a great day. Catch you later.